A young, pure English girl, and they were very frightened. Let's pull our punches. They were very, very frightened that, of course, it might be like the other Prince Charming, who was my generation, who married Mrs. Simpson. Instead of which, it all was perfect. It really was a fairy story.
Diana Spencer's childhood was not an entirely happy one.
Toen haar vader, de toekomstige graaf Spencer en voormalig adjudant van de koningin, op 1 juni 1954 in Westminster Abbey met Frances Rhodes trouwde, was dat een belangrijke gebeurtenis in de Engelse society. Maar in 1967 ging het echtpaar uiteen en 2 jaar later werd de scheiding uitgesproken. Na een jaar op een dagschool in King's Lynn te hebben gezeten, vertrok Diana Spencer naar Riddleworth Hall, vergezeld van haar cavia Peanuts. Maar ze vond het vreselijk dat ze weg moest.
She seemed to cope with homesickness and the pain that her parents' separation caused her by developing a certain detachment. Her family's nickname for her was Duchess.
Op deze schoolfoto is ze de enige van meer dan 200 meisjes die echt naar de camera kijkt. Ze bracht haar vakanties deels door bij haar moeder, die hertrouwde met Peter Shand Kidd, en haar vader, die in 1976 trouwde met Rain, de voormalige Lady Lewisham en de dochter van Barbara Cartland.
Those who know the princess say that her troubled childhood contributed not a little to the realism and resilience with which she withstood the pressures attendant upon her most extraordinary courtship and marriage. And one of her closest friends is Caroline Pride, who met her at Westheath School in Kent, where Diana Spencer moved at the age of 12.
Na die schooltijd en kort voor het huwelijk in 1981 vroeg Michael Barrett aan Caroline Pride wat ze persoonlijk van de aanstaande prinses vond.
She is, oh God, she is, I don't want to be too dramatic, but she is a ray of sunshine. She's humorous to the point of being outstandingly witty. She's great fun. She's the best friend you could have. And she's an incredibly generous person. And I think she'll do the job well.
Carolyn, you remember saying to me last time around that she would do a good job. Well, is she?
Yes, I think she has proved that she's doing a very good job. Certainly from the response she's had from the public, it would show that she's maintained her charm and the image she created in the run-up to the wedding. And you couldn't really ask for more than that.
Why do you think she's doing such a good job?
I think primarily the job entails dealing with people, and that she's managed to do wonderfully well. She has a natural curiosity in dealing with people, which helps. And she has a way of asking graciously without being condescending in her manner, which I think is important as well. I think she's hit the nail on the head.
One weekend in her final term at Westheath, where she was at school with Caroline Pride, Lady Diana Spencer got special permission to go home for the weekend. Her father was organising a shoot at Althorpe, over the fields that had been fresh turned since the harvest. And the guest of honour at the shoot was Charles, Prince of Wales. It was November 1977, the moment when, the Prince and Princess now recollect, they first took serious notice of each other. Prince Charles recalls thinking that Lady Diana was a very jolly and amusing 16-year-old. Great fun, bouncy and full of life.
Zij vond de prins, naar ze zich kan herinneren, een geweldige vent. Maar ze was nog maar 16. Ze ging een tijdje naar Zwitserland, naar een kostschool, waar ze heimwee had en erg veel brieven schreef. Ze bleef maar 1 semester.
It was not until she moved to London in the summer of 1979 to share a flat with some girlfriends in Earl's Court that she began to find her feet. She got work looking after young children, and when she wasn't working, she liked to relax window shopping in Chelsea and Knightsbridge, happy hunting ground of that peculiarly British archetype, the Sloane Ranger.
Je hebt ze in New York, in Parijs, in Sloane Street in Londen. De weg die de grote warenhuizen Harrods en Harvey Nichols verbindt met de boutiquejes op Kings Road ten zuiden daarvan. Daar lopen de Sloane Rangers met een zijden sjaaltje onder de kin, een keurig jasje, een schoudertas, een plooirok en dure schoenen met lage hakken. Maar Lady Diana hield niet erg van dat soort kleren. Ze hield meer van spijkerbroeken. Tot op de dag van vandaag bewaart een winkelier in Chelsea nog een aandenken aan zijn hooggeplaatste cliënte die zijn zaak bezocht toen ze nog op een flat woonde. De toekomstige prinses kwam ook graag naar een straat in Battersea, net ten zuiden de Theems. Daar woont en werkt de ontwerper Bill Pashley, omringd door een verzameling papier-maché-voorwerpen die hij zelf weelderig en zinnelijk noemt en waarvan hij toegeeft dat het wat uit de hand is gelopen. Bill Pashley vertelt hoe gemakkelijk het is om kleren voor haar te maken.
Well, she's a very good, tall, slim shape for a start, which is always a help for any designer. And she's a nice person to work for, so that it does help. And she likes strong colour, which a lot of English women are, I think, slightly frightened of.
Well, now, I'm only a mere male in these matters, of course, but looking at that Balmoral tweed suit that you designed, I'm quite surprised there are no ruffles in evidence.
Well, you'd hardly wear ruffles on a grouse moor. Frighten the birds, for a start. But, no, but these were specifically for Scotland, and they were done to be easy country clothes that are easy to wear and comfortable.
How strongly is she now influencing world fashion?
I would say quite a lot. There's certainly a great deal of interest from all over the world, and I wasn't expecting to get write-ups in America, but it happened. And they're just so anxious to
She seems to have a good idea what she's after. And if I ask her to try some shape on that she doesn't particularly like, she'll try it on just to please us. With the usual, Mr. Boyd, But anyway, she put it on just to please us. And then we realise what she doesn't like. But she likes something that's got a bit of zip. And of course she loves the Edwardian line.
When she comes into this extraordinary room...
I don't think it's extraordinary. She loves it.
Well, tell me. I mean, what does she say?
We say to her, do you mind? Oh, no, that's all right. That's all right here. Oh, I like that. Oh, is that Mrs. Stone? Oh, I adore that. Oh, and is that for her? I'm sure I look better than that than she does, but I'll try it on. She's always like that. She's just full of fun, and she's just young. She's just a wee lassie to me.
As she looks around, does she pick up colours that she likes?
Oh, yes. She'll say, she wants a red hat, and I said, well, which red? There's so many different reds. Oh, the red in that cushion there, and there's about half a dozen reds in the cushion. Which red? That one there. Oh, we put a mark in it so we make a hat that colour. One day she came in, and she had a big coat on. I just said to her, oh, and said, gosh, you're skinny. And she said, I'm not skinny, I'm just what we call slim. And she said, anyway, my husband likes me that way.
Life as a princess can have its problems, and one of them is how to go shopping in reasonable peace and quiet. So when the new Princess of Wales needs fresh clothes, she often comes here, to Vogue House, just at the back of London's Regent Street. The magazine's fashion editors pick out for her the latest creations. The royal car drives discreetly into the garage at the back of the building. And then the princess goes up by lift to an upper room.
Daar hangen de collecties van de Londense modeontwerpers allemaal aan een rek bij elkaar, zodat ze de kleren op haar gemak kan bekijken. Afgezien van haar trouwjapon is de beroemdste keurige verleden. Maar de schok die door het land ging bij het zien van de japon bewees misschien wel dat Engeland zelf ouderwets is. De Tatler noemde het mooiste stuk sensueel theater sinds Assepoester uit haar klompen stapte en glazen muiltjes aandeed. En het schijnt dat de koningin moeder het niet erg op had met een dergelijke vertoning van de toekomstige koningin. Misschien was Hare Majesteit vergeten hoeveel ophef ze zelf baarde met enkele japonnen die ze tijdens haar staatsbezoek aan Frankrijk in 1937 droeg.
Since her marriage, the new Princess of Wales has remained remarkably loyal to the shops and designers that used to dress her when she was Lady Diana Spencer. She still gets her clothes from Caroline Charles in Beauchamp Place, and of course from Harrods, which will surely soon be adding another royal warrant to its collection.
Dit ene meisje is naar Carnaby Street het beste dat de Engelse modewereld kon overkomen. Met haar 1,73 meter, dik glanzend, haar, saffierblauwe ogen en een sierlijke houding als gevolg van het tapdansen dat ze elke ochtend doet, geeft ze alles wat ze draagt een hoogst persoonlijke stijl. Haar schoonheidsspecialiste is Barbara Daly.
I don't know how you would analyse the Princess of Wales kind of beauty, but I think it is a genuine niceness within her, and also she's very photogenic and she's young and she has a beautiful skin, and I'm her number one fan anyway. So. I mean, obviously on her wedding day she looked very beautiful anyway. I think her happiness absolutely radiated, and I can see that in all of these honeymoon pictures. She just looks very joyful. The thing is, looking at them now, of course, you can't actually ever find a bad photograph of her. She has very real charm and a very real niceness. It actually shows. She has brightness in her eye, and she's got beautiful skin, which is quite obvious anyway. Lovely hair. She's genuinely beautiful. I don't know why she needs me, really. At all.
De Lady Di look was een rage in 1981. In kranten en tijdschriften kon je lezen wat je moest doen om eruit te zien als Lady Diana. Maar prins Charles verklaarde dat het origineel toch boven alles ging. Het voornaamste kenmerk van de Lady Di look was het kapsel. Iets wat slordig en schuin naar achteren gekamd, dat volgens sommige stoutmoedige critici te nonchalant voor een prinses is. Haar kapper is Kevin Shandy.
Well, I had a lot of trouble with the press over the fringe, but I mean, a change has to start somewhere. I mean, the princess likes the fringe and likes the way her hair was, so there was no reason to change it.
No one expected the Prince of Wales to fall for any girl who was less than stylish and good-looking. But a future Queen of England must possess other qualities: dignity, grace, composure. And Lady Diana Spencer proved that she possessed these qualities in abundance in the course of a quite extraordinary apprenticeship, which she had to serve as the press of the world laid siege to her flat in London. The onslaught began when a Fleet Street journalist, James Whittaker, spotted a green Wellington boot protruding from behind a tree on the riverbank at Balmoral, where Prince Charles was fishing in the autumn of 1980. Within hours, Whittaker had tracked down the identity of the Wellington boot's owner. Within days, he had tracked down her London address and telephone number. And from then onwards, day after day, James Whittaker kept watch on the flat, where Lady Diana Spencer lived with her friends Caroline Pride and two other girls.
Every morning it was a ritual, really, at about, 8 o'clock onwards. She would look for me to arrive in a car. I would often park just down here, and I never failed to get a wave from the window. She would look out of the kitchen window there, or the drawing room window down there, and always she would look out, and there would be a wave every single morning on it.
I was going to ask you, how did she cope with you and eventually other pressmen, as some would say, hounding her all the time?
Yes, well, I think, well, she coped brilliantly, didn't she? And I think it was a great training for her for what was going to come to her, which she's now discovering, the pressures on her. It was easy for her. She didn't make any effort. She didn't make any mental way of how do I cope with this situation. That was her charm, I think, that she didn't deliberately think about it. She was and is, I don't know her now in the way that I did before, she is a charming, natural individual who I don't think had a nasty streak in her. She had never been unpleasant in her life. She had never been a rude person. She'd been, I think, beautifully brought up. And it was just easy for her to be a sweet, delightful person. People sent her flowers because she was just a fabulous person. And chocolates, you know, she has this great craving for chocolates. And I mean, at one stage, after I'd sent her some flowers, she'd say, my place is looking like a greenhouse up there. It's wonderful. And there were times, of course, when she was not a happy person, particularly towards the end. She felt the pressures on her, but it wasn't just pressures from Fleet Street, it was pressures from the whole of England, who were absolutely willing that girl to marry him, to marry the Prince of Wales. There wasn't anybody who didn't want her to, but there was tremendous pressure from everybody in the country to do this, and she just was a delightful person. The three girls that she shared with, Anne, Virginia and Caroline, nobody could ask for greater friends and greater support than Diana received. Towards the end, when there was the most incredible pressure on her, those three girls supported her very well. They didn't get any assistance from anybody at Buckingham Palace. They were literally thrown to us wolves. They didn't know what they were doing, but they just supported Diana quite magnificently.
It was a very light-hearted experience. We used to spend hours driving in the car, escaping from the press, in inverted commas. And that sort of nerve-wracking experience puts you on a high. I can't remember ever laughing so much. Even hopping on a bus once to escape them, sailing up Sloane Street on a number 22 bus and hopping off, leaving the pressmen on it. That was the best one, I think.
Yet through the winter of 1980 and 1981, Lady Diana Spencer was not recorded as ever having uttered one indiscreet or ill-tempered word. She smiled, she giggled, she pursed her lips to look serious, then burst out laughing, and she succeeded in persuading all her persecutors, and most of the rest of the world, to fall thoroughly in love with her. She had undoubtedly learned the value of tact after her sister Sarah, herself a former girlfriend of Prince Charles, earned the disapproval of Buckingham Palace by talking too freely about the prince in an interview that she gave to a woman's magazine.
Lord Mountbatten, met wie de prins veel contact had, voorspelde eens dat als prins Charles trouwde, hij het meisje in stilte het hof zou maken en zich pas in het openbaar met haar zou vertonen als hij haar echt had gevraagd.
So it proved to be. The prince and Lady Diana managed to protect their privacy with what the prince later described as military organization.
Het paste dan ook goed dat een van de eerste keren dat het pas verloofde paar samen in het openbaar verscheen op Broadlands was, het verblijf van Lord Mountbatten in Hampshire, waar ze werden begroet door Lord Romsey, de kleinzoon van Lord Mountbatten, en zijn vrouw Penelope, en de Mountbatten tentoonstelling daar openden.
In retrospect now, question about the courtship that interests many people is the question, who made the running? On engagement day, Prince Charles was asked at what point he had decided that Lady Diana was the right one for him.
Gradually. I suppose towards the end of the summer and the autumn last year. And I began to realise, what was going on in my mind and hers in particular. And all these things help. But, it was a gradual business.
Did you find it a very hard decision, Lady Diana?
I had a long time to think about it, because I knew the pressure was on both of us. And well, it wasn't a difficult decision in the end. That's what I wanted. That's what I want.
I mean, there was a great myth always said about Diana that she was shy Di. It's ludicrous, that. I think it fitted headlines, so editors stuck it in because it went in well. But there's nothing shy about her at all. I mean, I've always maintained that several months before the engagement, long before the Prince of Wales even thought about it, she was pretty certain she was going to end up marrying him, and she organised it beautifully, and she was very cunning. I'm not saying she was devious or anything in it, but she worked him quite simply and knew that she was going to marry him and did it very well indeed.
I think that she perhaps had it in mind longer than anybody realises that this was a possibility. They met when she was only 16, and it really started in earnest about 3 years later. But it was very interesting how quickly after it became official, she was instinctively and suddenly a member of the royal family. And the wave was perfect in a couple of days, and she'd stayed a week or two with the Queen Mother, who I think gave her a kind of crash course in how to be royal.
In the early days of the courtship, when it might be said that she was still pursuing him, he went out to Australia and you were there. How did you observe the effect on him then?
It was fascinating that, because they were parted for 6 weeks, fairly shortly after the engagement announcement, and it was clear to a lot of people at the time that they perhaps hadn't spent as much time together before getting engaged as most of us have the chance to do. And I think they were still wondering perhaps if this was a real love match. Certainly I think he was. And it was noticeable in Australia that he kind of fell in love with her before our very eyes. It was the period when she was becoming an instant worldwide superstar, and this was being relayed to him as to us on television and in the Australian newspapers, and he was like any other consumer, really, although he was talking to her on the phone a couple of times a week. And talk about absence makes the heart grow fonder. One saw him pining away, and also his character was slightly different on that trip.
What would you do to people? And when you then wash it?
Yes, wash it in. It comes in different cups.
Which might save my fiancé the trouble of taking a hairdresser with her when we go abroad on tours like this one. I know they're all practicing Lady Diana haircuts furiously in the background.
I only wish that it had been possible to have brought my fiancé here on this occasion, but it'll have to wait for another time.
He's usually much more approachable and more relaxed out of this country. On that one, he was actually quite distant and quite uptight a lot of the time, and I think it was because he was going through this curious emotional change.
Perhaps observing that if he wasn't falling in love, everybody else almost in the world was, certainly in Britain.
I think it helps in that everybody was saying, gosh, you're a lucky fella, and if he had any doubts at all, they were all washed away very quickly.
Over the previous decade or more, how had he set about seeking a bride?
Well, of course, he left his decision much later than most of his predecessors. He was, apart from the man who became the Duke of Windsor, the oldest unmarried Prince of Wales in history. And part of the reason for that was, of course, the restrictions on his choice. He couldn't marry a Catholic. He couldn't marry a divorcee. He probably had to marry somebody reasonably well born, if not actually a princess. Apart from that, there were the society pressures on his choice. A lot of previous girlfriends fell by the wayside because they'd had affairs, or jealous boyfriends rang up the gossip columns and so on. So it always had to be somebody quite young, a girl, as they say in posh circles, without a past. And for gynecological reasons, it had to be somebody quite young. And I think he was very lucky in that his father was expressing the view of a lot of people in saying to him, you'd better make your mind up or there won't be anybody left. And he'd more or less been through all the available aristocracy in this country. Non-Catholic, non-divorced princesses are quite thin on the ground around Europe these days. So it was extremely lucky that she was still there. And now, of course, everybody's amazed that he could ever have looked at anybody else.
Als ze met een andere marineofficier van goede familie was getrouwd, hadden er waarschijnlijk wat leuke foto's van het stel in de krant gestaan. Maar nu ze met de Engelse troonopvolger trouwde, was het een gebeurtenis waar de hele wereld naar keek. En van over de hele wereld waren cameramensen gekomen om het vast te leggen. Al dagen tevoren hadden mensen langs de route gekampeerd om er zeker van te zijn dat ze vooraan zouden staan. Duizenden zijderupsen hadden in het westen van Engeland maandenlang hun best gedaan de nieuwe zijde te maken voor haar opzienbarende trouwjapon. Daarin was kant verwerkt die eens aan Queen Mary had toebehoord. Haar tiara was een erfstuk van de Spencers. En om haar middel zat een centuur met een blauw lintje en een 18 karaats gouden hoefijzertje ernaast vastgenaaid.
I, Charles Philip Arthur George,
take thee, Diana Francis,
take thee, Diana Francis,
to my wedded wife,
to my wedded wife,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death us do part,
till death us do part,
according to God's holy law,
according to God's holy law,
and thereto I give thee my troth,
and thereto I give thee my troth.
I, Diana Francis,
I, Diana Francis,
take thee, Charles Philip Arthur George,
take thee, Philip Charles Arthur George,
to my wedded husband,
to my wedded husband,
to have and to hold,
to have and to hold,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death us do part,
till death us do part,
according to God's holy law,
according to God's holy law,
and thereto I give thee my troth.
and thereto I give thee my troth.
I pronounce that they be man and wife together, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
De laatste seconde voor ze prinses werd, haalde ze nog de namen van haar aanstaande door elkaar. Maar dat overtuigde de 500 miljoen mensen. Die hoorden er alleen maar van dat ze echt een gewoon mens was. Mocht iemand daar al niet van overtuigd zijn. Buiten het paleis verdrongen de mensen zich achter de hekken en begonnen ze om de prinses te roepen. En enkele dove televisiekijkers die konden liplezen beweerden dat de bruid zich naar de bruidegom wendde en zei: ze willen dat we elkaar een kus geven. Best, zei hij. En ze kusten elkaar. Enkele dagen later ging het jonge paar op huwelijksreis naar Gibraltar. De pers was er natuurlijk weer bij. Maar de cruise op het koninklijk jacht Britannia bleek weer eens zo'n militaire operatie waarbij de prins en de prinses hun achtervolgers te slim af waren.
When Queen Victoria welcomed into her family Princess Alexandra, the great-great-grandmother of Prince Charles and the first modern Princess of Wales to be a truly national figure, she described her as a sweet creature who seems to have come from the skies to help and bless poor mortals. 120 years later, many Britons would use those same words of their latest princess. She lets schoolboys kiss her hand, and she bends to talk to little children standing in the crowds. She is solemn when the occasion calls for it, but no one doubts she has a sense of humor, and people everywhere respond to her charm.
Haar grootste triomf was misschien wel in Wales, dat ze in oktober 81 voor het eerst bezocht. Er waren demonstraties op touw gezet om tegen het binnendringen van die Engelse prinses te demonstreren. Maar ze wist iedereen te ontwapenen.
Expected. She was more. What about her clothes? Oh, beautiful. Lovely. What about you two?
Oh, she was gorgeous. She was much prettier than she is on telly. She was beautiful.
When she came down Church Street, she turned right instead of left, so we didn't even see what she was wearing.
What do you feel about that?
I feel really upset for my little girl because she follows that all through the newspapers every day.
Did she cry?
She hadn't stopped crying yet. She had me crying as well.
Going down that side.
De relschoppers werden uitgejouwd en 3 dagen lang leek het of het volk van Wales aan een algehele zenuwinzinking ten prooi was. Met zingende koren, tokkelende harpen en volwassen kerels die in tranen uitbarsten. In de hoofdstad Cardiff werd ze tot ereburgeres benoemd. En ze slaagde er zelfs in wat in het Welsh te zeggen.
I now declare that Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales is now an honorary freedom of the city of Cardiff. May I please present the casket containing the scroll of admission.
I am extremely grateful to you, Lord Mayor, and to the City Council, and to the City of Cardiff, for granting me the freedom of the city. I realise it is a very great honour, and I am most grateful. I would like to try to express my thanks to you in Welsh also. Mae'n blesed cael dod e Gymru, hoffwn ddod eto yn fian. Diolch yn fawr. I do hope that bore some relationship to what I meant to say, which is basically that it's a very great pleasure for me to come to Wales and to its capital, Cardiff. I look forward to returning many times in the future. And also, I'd like to just add how proud I am to be Princess of such a wonderful place, and the Welsh people who are very special to me. Thank you.
She seems to be a princess for all ages. The young idolize her, but so does virtually everyone else. When she attended her first Buckingham Palace garden party as fiancée to the Prince of Wales, she noticed a blind woman in the crowd. So she went over to her and held out her engagement ring so that the blind woman could feel it. In terms of Britain's image abroad, she's the best thing to happen since the Beatles. The person whose life she has affected most, of course, is Prince Charles. Michael Barrett asked Anthony Holden just how important she has become in the life of the future king.
Very. I think as he entered his 30s, he was quite a lonely figure. People underestimated that, how many nights of the week he would sit alone in his room in Buckingham Palace, watching the television, eating a simple meal off a tray on his knee with a glass of milk. It was quite a lonely life. But the other thing relates to his choice of a bride, is that unlike many of his predecessors, he wanted this to be a genuinely happy marriage in private as well as in public, very much based on his own parents' very happy family life, which has had a very dominant effect on his own character. And he was looking for somebody who would be very supportive in private as well as in public, who shares his love of children. Both Prince Charles and Diana are well known for their love of children. And I think clearly that that's going to be the case. And he's got a kind of job where a lot of secrets are reposed in him, where he has confidences he needs to share. And he's never quite had the right figure to do that with. It used to be Lord Mountbatten was his great confidant and mentor. And his death left a big hole in Prince Charles's life, which Diana will more than fill in those kind of private roles that a public figure like Prince Charles desperately needs.
So again, unlike some of his predecessors, you would expect him to remain a faithful husband.
Indeed, I don't think we'll be seeing any television series about Lily Langtry-like figures from him. He's quite a religious fellow, and people often underestimate the royal family's religious feelings about their job, and there are many aspects of getting married or having children that Prince Charles regards as his, quote, sacred duty, because it's in the constitution of this country. He will one day be the head of the church. But he's also privately got strong religious beliefs. He spends a lot of time talking privately with people like Cardinal Hume and the Archbishop of Canterbury. And he's not a man who would want to fool around after he got married. He had some fun for 10 years, and now he wants a genuinely strong marriage.
What kind of influence and to what degree do you think she will have on him now?
Well, I think she's already perhaps mellowed him a little bit. Like his mother, she's very worried when he goes steeplechasing, as are we all, because he's not very good at it. He seems to have stopped doing that. That's quite interesting. She reputedly wants to stop him playing polo. I think that's probably be rather difficult because he enjoys that so much. I think possibly she might smarten him up a bit sartorially. He's not a very exciting dresser. And already perhaps his suits are taking on a slightly more streamlined look and slightly more dashing ties, and his hair's getting a bit longer. I think those kind of influences will be very healthy.
When Lady Diana Spencer was interviewed on her engagement day, she said that with Prince Charles beside her, she could not go wrong. Time has already proved that the Prince of Wales could equally say the same of his new princess.
De Britse monarchie is een vreemd iets. Het is eens beschreven als een broos mysterie dat werkt. En de nieuwe prinses van Wales heeft de oude betovering nieuw leven ingeblazen. Ze is jong, mooi, getrouwd met een prins en leidt een leven waar de meesten van ons alleen maar van kunnen dromen. Ze zou gemakkelijk afgunst kunnen wekken in een zeer afgunstige wereld. Maar dat doet ze niet. Bij haast iedereen die ze ontmoet wekt ze op een of andere manier liefde, bewondering en affectie op. Dat komt natuurlijk ook door haar positie. Ze wordt nu koninklijke hoogheid genoemd. en ze is voorbestemd om met Uwe Majesteit te worden aangesproken. Maar haar aantrekkingskracht is meer dan een kwestie van aanspreektitels en adellijke rangen. Ze heeft iets van zichzelf meegebracht naar haar nieuwe positie. Een gevoel voor stijl, een gevoel voor humor, een natuurlijke warmte die velen doet denken aan het oudste en meest geliefde lid van het koninklijk huis, koningin Elisabeth, de koningin-moeder. Misschien heeft de overeenkomst iets te maken met het feit dat de nieuwe prinses, net als de koningin-moeder, niet in een paleis is opgegroeid. Ze is van goede familie, maar ze is haar leven begonnen als een van ons, niet als een van hun. Ze heeft 20 jaar lang de kranten gelezen. Ze werd er niet in genoemd. En dat maakte de verandering, toen die kwam, natuurlijk des te betoverender. Het glazen muiltje ontbrak, maar het jongste zusje uit een ontwricht gezin kreeg wel de schitterende japon, de glazen koets en natuurlijk de aardige prins. En wat het toverstokje betreft, dat hadden we allemaal in de hand toen we naar haar keken. Want we willen dat dit meisje onze verwachtingen en dromen en fantasieën met zich meedraagt en in stand houdt. Er is toch al zo weinig aanleiding tot vreugde in deze moderne wereld. Maar zij is er één van. En daarom hopen zoveel mensen dat Diana, haar koninklijke hoogheid, de prinses van Wales, nog lang en gelukkig mag leven.